Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing on Talk 910, the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of today. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm proud to have as my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest-growing private lender. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Now, you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. Now, the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, which is located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. And the vacations are free. Their only request is a $75 cleaning fee to cover the housekeeping expenses. Such a deal. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Check them out at 916-777-5511. And today's trivia theme, we're going to go a little off color on this one, is alcoholic drinks. So it's just kind of a fun little thing.
I'll do good on that one.
You'll do good on that one. Okay. Our website is bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube. We're also on television, Comcast Channel 26 and AT&T Channel 99 at Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 6 p.m. by our favorite videographer, Kramer Herzog. And this segment of Best of Investing is brought to you by Crystal Bull, not Crystal Ball, but crystalbull.com. And if you've ever wondered why the stock market has big up or down days when new economic data are released, check them out because they show these relationships graphically. CrystalBull, BULL.com. Today we have a special guest, Michael McNair. Now he's on the phone, he's not in the studio, and he's from IRA Services Trust Company. Michael, welcome back, because you've been here before, to The Best of Investing.
I haven't. I'm sorry wasn't able to get up the video, but it's always a pleasure to talk to you guys and talk to your listeners, Edward and Mark. I really enjoyed our relationship.
Well, just so the listeners know that you've heard me talk on the show now for the past year about the Pacific Private Money Fund, which is a mortgage pool investment that our company offers that is paying about 8.5% to the shareholders. And as it turns out, Michael, a lot of people use their self-directed IRAs to make investments in mortgage pool funds and other alternative types of investments. In fact, you really can't make an investment in most other IRAs, like by Schwab and Fidelity and those. And as it so happens, the most common or the most IRA accounts we have are with your company, IRA Services. I think I've got 5 or 6 members right now out of 40 that have their accounts with IRA Services. So obviously you guys are doing something right.
I hope we do. I hope that we do.
Yeah, well, you know what, I've always appreciated the fact that they have been giving excellent service at the lowest price, because everyone's pretty cost conscious. And one of the things I really appreciated about your company versus other administration companies is that you guys charge by the transaction, not by a percentage of assets.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Always been our policy. We never understood why other custodians would charge a percentage of their portfolio value when we're really responsible for that.
Yeah, I mean, whether someone invests $10,000 or $1 million, you guys are still doing the same paperwork.
Right.
Yeah.
So Michael, you specialize, or IRA Services Trust Company specializes in self-directed IRAs. What's the biggest difference between the IRA products that you promote and, let's say, IRAs that you can get through your brokerage account like at Schwab or Merrill Lynch or at your local bank?
Look, there's a considerable difference. Obviously, the brokerage firms make their living on commissions from trading securities. And what we allow with the self-directed IRA custodian allows people to do is essentially invest in virtually anything they want, which includes things like real estate, trust deeds, mortgage funds, precious metals. The list goes on and on. In fact, the IRS doesn't tell you what you can invest in. They simply tell you what you can't invest in.
And it's a pretty short list, if I understand correctly, right?
Basically, it's collectibles because there's always a valuation question when you're dealing with collectibles. Life insurance policies and sub-S corporations, because the income from sub-S corporations are passed on to the investors, and it wouldn't work with an IRA.
So Michael, but also importantly, they can invest in stocks if they want to as well. So if someone likes to trade his own stocks and doesn't need a broker to do that, they can have that account also in a self-directed IRA too as well. Correct?
That is true, and we have a number of people that do have brokerage accounts. And what we do is we simply have, for instance, PD Ameritrade will have an account set up in the name of IRA Services for the benefit of the individual, and then they can do their own trading.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's just like one big umbrella that you can have one IRA, and then all they are is just the custodian. They don't have any personal interest in what you do. So, you know, and here's the other thing is that they're local. I mean, they're in San Carlos, California, whereas some of these companies are in other states, and, you know, the hours are crazy, and you can't walk into their shop. So we're trying to give you a little plug there because you've been, you know, and like I said, you know, you guys have just been very good to me personally and our clients. I mean, I've got my IRA with you, and I'm a pretty thoughtful investor, I guess is a good way to put it.
You're very frugal, Edward. And
Thank
so
you very much.
If you have your account with IRA Services Trust Company, it's probably because, among other things, service that would be the prices are probably, you know, very efficient. Very efficient.
Very efficient. So, Michael, one of the things we were talking about just before we got on the air is one of these new, I'm going to call it new because a lot of people I don't think know about it, is these solo 401ks. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. It's something that's been around for a while. Basically, it is a 401k, meaning it's essentially for one person or husband and wife, or where if they're self-employed, they can form their own 401k plan. And the benefit of it is that it's got higher contribution limits. I think it's 50-some thousand, something like that.
Yeah. What about the SEP IRA limitations? What are those right now?
SEP IRA is similar, but it's limited to a percentage of the income, which is 20%.
Oh, versus on this 401k, you just specifically choose a dollar amount?
Yes.
Oh,
Exactly.
okay, that's a big benefit. And since we are past April 15th, people can still contribute to a SEP IRA, even a brand new one. Can they do that with this solo 401k, or did they have to set it up before the end of the year?
No, they have until October to finalize their return. But normally it's still due by the April 15th deadline.
Okay, so the 401.
File an extension, then they can go on until October.
Okay, so they didn't if somebody, let's say for the first time hearing the show, wants to set up this solo 401k, can they still, and let's say they have not filed their 2013 return, can they still set up this brand new solo 401k and contribute and have it affect 2013's taxes?
That's a good question.
Okay, because I know SEP IRA.
The answer, we haven't actually
All right.
kicked off our 401k plan, and so there's a few details that I'm.
Oh, okay, fair enough. You know what? People can still do at least a SEP IRA for 2013.
So this is a new product then, Michael, for IRA Services?
And
Okay.
like the SEP IRA, you have to establish the account prior to the end of 2013 in order to make any contributions. So if they haven't set up a SEP IRA or a solo 401k, then they wouldn't be able to contribute for 2013.
So Michael, the 401k, the solo 401k plan IRA Services is offering, are you saying that's a new product for your company?
It is something that we've just sort of settled with somebody who's going to help us put it together, and we're hoping to be able to announce it sometime in the next couple of months.
Hey, I got another question for you, Michael. So I'm in the process, I think, this year of setting up something, you know, for the company that makes sense. I have an S corp that is the primary producer of income for my business, and I gotta admit to you, my eyes glaze over when I hear about you know, all the different types of IRA accounts, 401k, SEP, and Roth, and et cetera. And how does someone like me who wants to learn more about the different products and what the benefits are of each of them, how would I do that?
Well, a couple of things you can do, a couple of options you have. First of all, there's a basic 401k format IRAs. It's called a simple IRA, S-I-M-P-L-E. It stands for simplified.
It's simple.
You used to know it,
Yeah.
but it's simple.
It works like a 401k, in that you are deducting whatever the employee wants to set aside for their IRA.
Okay.
And then the company withholds that and then sends it to a custodian like us, and we set up an account for each of those employees, and so then they get their regular quarterly statements and they see what contributions have been made on behalf of the company if you choose to match up to a certain percentage, and they can have up to 10% aside.
Do you have this information on your website?
Yes, we talk about all the IRAs, all the different types. There's the SEP, which is more for an individual self-employed person. A simple is for small businesses. We have the Roth and the traditional, and of course we also offer the educational savings account, which is an IRA type product for children's education.
And the fees would be, for people who want to know more about it and also how much the stuff costs. That's also on the website too, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So how do people? Why don't you get the information out for people if they want to check out for an independent IRA custodian, IRA Services Trust Company?
Oh, they can always get on our website, which is a good place to start, and that's simply www.iraservices.com. And as I'm sure you're aware, Edward, is that we have also for listeners who would like to open an account, we'll provide a special link, which is www.iraservices.com/best-of-investing, all run together. And that will take them to a specific Best of Investing landing page,
okay,
which gives them directions, gives them a promotion code, which will result in a discount, actually a waiver of the establishment fee. So
there you go. We love that.
Awesome.
Help our listeners out. So listeners, just to remind you, if you go to iraservices.com/best-of-investing, that'll give you a certain page that you can put in a promotion code, and you get your establishment fees waived, which we thank you very much here at Best of Investing there, Michael.
you're very welcome. We appreciate your having us on.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to let you go now because we're going to have to cut to our commercial break. But thanks again. That was Michael McNair from IRA Services Trust Company. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you know that they are our favorite IRA custodian. All right?
Well, thank you both very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. We are running a little bit late here, so we're going to cut to our first commercial break. And but just before we do that, last week, if you remember, we had a special trivia contest. Excuse me. This week we're actually having the contest. Last week we announced that we were going to have it.
That's right.
Okay, the winner's going to receive a beautiful night stay at the Fairmont Sonoma Mission Inn. So
yes, indeed.
here is the renowned for natural mineral waters, unparalleled charm, and gracious service. The Fairmont Sonoma Mission Inn and Spa is located 40 miles north of the Golden Gate Bridge in Sonoma Valley. And they've recently renovated the resort, consistently providing the country's finest European spa, golf, and culinary experiences. And for reservations, call 800-441-1414 or 707-938-9000 or go to their website, www.fairmont.com/Sonoma. So here is the trivia question. By the time you're 35, you're at the top of your game for this. What? Now here are the rules.
Okay.
You need to email Edward at bestofinvesting.com the answer by midnight tonight. We'll take next week. We'll randomly choose from among all the correct answers and announce it on the following week. Okay, so now we're going to cut to our first commercial break, and again, the theme is alcoholic drinks. Excuse me.
This is our regular contest.
This is our regular contest. Okay, and this is the one where the first three callers with the answer here are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort.
Indeed.
Okay, what is the name of the beer brand constantly seen in the TV show The Simpsons? There's a specific name brand for the beer. All right. So the answer to the first 3 callers to the answer to that question are going to win a free 3-day 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What is the name of the beer brand constantly seen in the TV show The Simpsons? All right. Don't touch that dial. The Best of Investing will be right back. You know, I think you made a mistake. I didn't want to correct them on the air, but if I'm not mistaken, SEP IRAs can be set up now for, you just can't set up a KEO, a profit sharing plan or pension plan. If you set that up before the end of the year, you were fine.
Yeah,
you just have to fund it now. But a SEP IRA, you can set up just like, later on. So,
I didn't know what you could do after April 15th. I thought bets were off.
No. And I don't think that they changed the rules on that. So I might figure that people can call him and correct him on that.
That's right.
He's not my job. But that's cool though. They have a special Best of Investing landing page. Okay, so BOI. Yeah, he does talk very.
For a moment there, sometimes it sounds like he's drunk.
Yeah.
And then it kind of cut in and out and faded a little bit.
So, yeah.
So it was like, oh, jeez.
Okay. And the email that we received for you, my friend, is an interesting one. Since you're providing short-term loans, is it worth all that work to do a loan only to have the borrower pay it off quickly? Okay. Yeah, you got him on the tape, okay?
Barely. It
Really?
makes a really bad television show. I'm going to have to play with the volume as I edit.
I mean,
He went really low.
Okay. Ready? Ready, Freddy.
Ready, Teddy.
Ready, Teddy. Excuse me.
Better
Better
have
have
a
the
captain.
All right. This. That. And away we go. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn, president of Pacific Private Money, the finest California, and the growing is faster than anybody else. How's that? The more better. The fastest
All right,
growing.
Mr. McGill.
Yeah, the fastest growing private lender in Northern California.
That's right.
Okay, so when we got to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question. What is the name of the beer brand constantly seen in the TV show The Simpsons, where he goes, beer? Come on.
I'm drawing a blank.
Come on,
I'm
you
a
love the
Family Guy
beer.
guy.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were a Simpsons guy
No.
also. Duff beer. Remember that? Duff beer. Okay. So, Mark, tell you what, let's get right into this email. We got a very interesting email here for you. It says, and of course, you're going to have to give a preface once you start talking here.
Sure.
Okay, since you are providing short-term loans, is it worth all that work to do a loan only to have a borrower pay it off quickly?
Great question. So at Pacific Private Money, we actually specialize in making short-term loans, mostly to real estate investors. We've really, our bread and butter product since 2008 have been short-term real estate loans to people buying, fixing, and flipping real estate. A lot of it was foreclosure property back in the last few years, but not so much anymore. Now there's still opportunity to buy, fix, and flip, but mostly it's either short sale or just right off the MLS or a pocket listing. But if there's still a thriving market for people looking to add value to real estate, and generally they're not looking to borrow money for that long. It could be as short as 90 days. Some people are really fast at flipping a property if there's not much to do to it.
And what is the shortest loan you've ever, that
60 days.
So someone's paid you
Yeah.
back in 60 days? Okay.
Yeah, so far, that although we've got one that may break the record coming up, but there was a different type of loan that was just a short-term bridge loan that someone needed to close quickly, and they had bank financing lined up, but it couldn't close fast enough, and so they, if they pay us off as planned, it'll be a 4-week loan. So that's actually really short-term. So now, the reason why we can still make those loans and it makes sense for us to do so is that most of those loans are funded through our mortgage pool fund, which is a collection of capital that we have from private individuals, most of them who live here in the Bay Area. And we are able to make loans, and it really, we'll charge a rate, let's say 10%, for example. It's a fairly common interest rate for the loans we make. We'll charge a note rate of 10% to the borrower, and we'll charge some origination points or fees, and 1 point is equal to 1% of the loan amount. So on a typical, let's say in the Bay Area, it's not unusual for us to make, say, a $500,000 loan. 1 point would be $5,000, but we typically charge 2, oftentimes 3 points on a loan, especially if it's for a short term. We may bump up the points slightly to make up for the fact that they're telling us in advance, well, I only need the money for a couple of months. And so they understand that we need to make money and earn a living.
Yeah, because those points are not refunded.
That's
so
exactly
even
right.
if they borrow it for a week, you get to still keep the 1, 2, 3 points.
Right. So let's say in the fund we do make a short-term loan that gets paid back in 2 months. So that money is out there working on behalf of the fund shareholders for those 2 months at 10%. But the thing that really boosts the yield, and that helps the shareholder yield, and that helps produce the yields that we pay to our shareholders, which are right now right around 8.5% on average. That is the half of the origination points in the loans we charge go into the fund as well. So actually, the fund benefits from making short-term loans that revolve. If we're consistent, and we are, with an interest rate of around 10%. Sometimes it's a little bit less. It might be as low as 9. It might be as high as 11. But it's generally averaging a 10% cost of money note rate to the borrower. And if we're charge points and we get paid back early, we turn around and lend that money out again, charge points again. If we can revolve that same dollar 2, maybe 3 times in a year, it helps to increase the yield that the fund earns altogether.
Let me just do a little bit of math in my head here, okay? If you do a loan at 10% and 2 points, 1 point goes to you, the house, to do all the docs, and the other point goes to the fund, and that loan gets paid off in 6 months. 60 days. Effectively, the annualized yield for the fund is 16%.
Well, and that's right. So we like those short-term loans. And some of the loans in the fund that the fund makes are short-term, and some of them are long-term. So we have, again, a mixed basket, a diverse basket of loans. Some of them are, most of them are residential. Some of them are commercial. Their sizes range from $70,000 all the way to $500,000, and then the terms are usually the shortest term we write is for 6 months with no prepayment penalty. So if you're going to pay us back in 6 days, you can. It's again, it's designed for those specific situations, which most of the general public might not even be aware of, that there are actually quite a few different types of situations that arise where a real estate investor or even a consumer might have a short-term need for capital. And yes, it's pricey, but compare that to losing the deal or losing the opportunity.
And sometimes I know that there'll be some flexibility where, you may charge less points, but you make the borrower keep the loan for at least 6 months. And it's like, you can pay us off early, but you still have to pay at least 6 months over the interest. So you get a flexibility of how you
there is. There's a lot of subjectivity in negotiating the terms of a privately funded loan. That's one of the nice things about privately funded loans as opposed to bank financing. Bank financing, they tend to all really look alike, sound alike, smell alike. A private money loan, you can really look at all the various factors of the borrower and the collateral and the loan to value and what's their exit strategy, meaning how do they plan to pay you back and when. And you can design a program that fits their needs. And maybe a lower interest rate's more important, but they're willing to pay an extra point or two in order to get that lower rate. And that would be certainly if they want it for a longer term. If they want the loan for 3, 4, 5 years, which might seem ridiculous on the face of it. Why would anybody pay 9 or 10% for money for 3 or 5 years? Well, believe it or not, there are a lot of people who are accustomed to paying that price for money. They've never had ever a loan for 4 or 5%. They're just accustomed.
And also,
to
there's a lot of times people don't want to just go through the paperwork.
Well, they're self-employed. There's a lot of reasons. There's a ton of reasons. It doesn't mean they're losers and lowlifes, or they don't pay their bills. It just there's certain situations that people are in, and I'll tell you, a lot of self-employed people, after they write everything off, they live well. They live well in the Bay Area, but they're certainly not showing a lot of bottom line net income. And the banks look at that and they just laugh.
They're not bankable.
They're not bankable, exactly.
By the way, what does a bank loan smell like? He said they all kind of smell alike. I'm kind of wondering what is
Not good.
What is yeah. I mean, if you can get them, they're usually reasonably priced, but a lot of times, people don't look through all the nuances of loans where, like, I've got a commercial loan, and there's an absolute gargantuan prepayment penalty in there. It's not my personal residence because apparently, I guess you're not allowed to do that in California. But for rental property, I got a decent rate at the bank, but when interest rates dropped, they were going to just absolutely kill me if I refinanced it.
Well, not only that, there are commercial loans, and we had one about 15 years ago on an office building, that when we sold it, we had to sell the loan with the property. We could only sell it to a buyer who agreed to assume the loan, because the loan we took out at the time was an incredible interest rate for that time and that type of property. But it was a 10-year loan, and we were not allowed to pay it back for 9 years and 9 months.
Oh my goodness!
They would only accept repayment within the last 90 days of that 10-year period, or there was this huge prepayment penalty.
That's amazing. I think that's a record. I haven't heard that one before.
Well, and they referred to those as conduit loans. So anybody out there that's familiar with commercial real estate might remember that. But anyway, so
that's the kind of loan that doesn't smell good, I guess. That's not a good smelling one.
That definitely doesn't smell good if you're trying to pay that one off.
Okay, tell you what, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break here. I know you got some great articles to educate the
Great real
public here.
estate news coming up.
Excellent. Okay. And next week, we were able to get another trivia contest coming up here with the Westin Barossa in Napa. We've had them on before. Located on the riverbank in the heart of downtown, the Westin Barossa Napa is within walking distance to more than 15 Napa Valley wine tasting rooms. Replenish your spirit and sense of fun this season at the Westin Barossa Napa and experience the bloom of spring, the peak of summer, the autumn harvest, or the cozy ambiance of winter in luxury. With 180 guest rooms that are offered with unique packages, there's nothing to hold you back. Visit www.westinnapa.com, a member of Starwood Hotels and Resorts. Okay, so now we're going to cut that. So that's going to be another contest we're going to have next week. Now, back to our regular Lighthouse commercial contests. We're going to cut to the second commercial break here, and again, the theme is alcoholic drinks. What type of plant ingredient is associated with tequila? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What type of plant ingredient is associated with tequila? Make sure to include your name and your email address. Speak slowly. Spell out your email one word at a time. Don't touch that dial. The Best of Investing is going to be right back with Mark Hahn from Pacific Private Money with some very, very interesting real estate news. Stay tuned. Have you tried any of your, the one that we bought where you mix, where the 2 mix?
I have.
It's
delicious.
It's pretty good, yeah.
And I'm drinking a little bit of the
No,
sippable.
you're not supposed to do that until we
Lisa
see
and I
each
had a little
other.
fun last week.
Yeah, I bet you did.
She was drinking vodka, and I decided I'd have a few slugs of that.
It's fine. I do like the thing that we got, but I like the mudslide that guy made. He was good. She was a good vodka.
Yeah. Did you tell Eve about that mudslide?
She just
That was
doesn't
so
really-
good. She doesn't care.
Nah, yeah, she does.
She's not a desserty.
Not as much. No, she tries to. I mean, she'll do just like gin for gin and tonics. Tries to keep it clean. Me,
Cactus.
calories.
I associate cactus with tequila.
Cactus.
Yeah, tequila, Mexico, cactus plants.
I mean, you're kind of close, I guess.
No, that's what I associate with. That's what I want
Yeah,
to drink.
I wonder if they do make like cactus juice, like into an alcoholic drink. Okay, so put that. Okay, we'll get into your good stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know the
got
answer,
some
Mark?
charts and graphs. See, look.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Charts and graphs.
Color.
Color.
We like that.
Do you know the
It's
answer,
a
Mark?
living color.
I do know the answer.
I mean, does Mark? Do you know the answer?
I'll ask him. Hold on.
Well,
Hold
no,
on.
no.
What was
The
question
reason.
again?
I'll
No,
ask
well,
him.
the reason why I'm asking is because I like to zoom in when he
Well,
knows it.
Whether or not he knows it, zoom in on it.
Yes, sir,
Actually,
boss.
I wasn't asking the question.
Oh, good.
Okay.
So I'll be getting in cold.
Mark, you'll never listen to me. You ever hear that from the wife? Okay, here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hunt, president of Pacific Private Money. When we get to the second commercial break, we ask this trivia question. Again, the theme is alcoholic drinks. Okay, what type of plant ingredient is associated with tequila? Now, Kramer, our videographer, said cactus.
Well, it's a relative to the cactus
It
plant,
is, isn't it?
Agave.
Agave! Very good, Mr.
Of course, you want to drink only 100% agave, and usually you're not going to find that in the stuff that's on the store shelves.
Oh, okay, you're quite the connoisseur. Okay, we promised the audience that you had some excellent articles for us.
Well, I do. So I was looking at two of my favorite real estate blogs today. One is Property Radar, which is owned and edited by Sean O'Toole, used to be Foreclosure Radar, been a guest on our show in the past, and also First Tuesday, which is a educational and real estate related California-based collector of real estate data. And so this week I went to the websites and I pulled in some charts and graphs. And the reason I did these, I actually studied these for a while this afternoon and before the show. You know, when real estate news comes out in the paper, typically here's what you hear. Median price is up X percent year over year, and or it's up from month to month. And that's typical with like unit sales. They'll say, well, the March unit sales came out and they were up 13,000 in the Bay Area over February. You hear that number, it doesn't mean anything. Or you say it's unit sales are actually down year over year, which they are, from 13 to 14. And again, in the context of things, it doesn't really mean a whole heck of a lot. It just becomes meaningless statistics. Like, what's the Dow Jones today? You know, it's up 100, it's down 100. You know, who cares? It's the long-term trend you're looking for. So, I printed up. I looked at three graphs in particular jumped out in front of me, and one is notice of defaults. And so, you know, we've been doing this show for nearly 4 years, and during those 4 years, we've been talking a lot about trustee sales and defaults and foreclosures. Well, as it turns out, I'm looking at a graph that goes all the way back to 2000. So there's 14 years of data on this graph. And essentially, we are now back to the average normal foreclosure rate that we were at for the first 5 years of 2000, basically when we had a healthy.
So what was the worst year?
Well, the worst year was the first quarter of 2009, when the notice of California default filings for that quarter were nearly 150,000. And now we are down below the 25,000 unit line. And so that is in basically a normal market. So, you know, all the talk about is there, you know, remember the second wave we talked about for the longest time, and there's yet.
But I do have a question about that though, because if let's say that you say this is similar to 2000.
Well, again, here's the numbers, the default filings by the bank. Now that doesn't mean there's not more people today not making their payment than there was 10 years ago. There probably is, but the banks aren't foreclosing.
That's right. Now 10 years ago, they would have just started filing. See, that's and I wonder how many people had already lost their home. It's like, you know, to make it really simple for the average person listening, if 90% of the people already lost their home through foreclosure in California, and there's only 10% of the people left, there's only 100 homes left, you're not going to find that many homes getting foreclosed on because everyone already lost their home. So I'm kind of wondering how much we can kind of compare that 25,000 notice of default. Do you know what I'm getting at?
I think it's probably, the story behind the story is the actual number of filings by banks are basically at a normal pace. You could basically overlook the years between 2007 and 2011, and we're back there. But it doesn't mean that people aren't still struggling. It just means that banks are more likely to do a workout plan, and the new laws that have been enacted at the beginning of 2014 really compel the banks.
Which is something they should have done in 2008. It could have alleviated most of this crisis.
Yeah. So there are still a lot of people underwater. There are still a lot of people who are staring at a prospective short sale. There are still a lot of people who probably haven't made a payment on their home, let's just say in quite some time, but the bank's has not initiated a notice of default. So the filings for notice of default, again, are way down. I mean, we're pretty much, mean, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
There really is not going to be much of a foreclosure opportunity market for real estate investors again until the next cycle.
Well, you know, it's interesting. You know, when I'm listening to this and thinking, well, gosh, does that mean, you know, we should just not pay our mortgage because if they're not foreclosing? But
I dare you to file an
yeah, exactly. But you know, it's interesting. I went to coffee with one of my bankers, and he was telling me a story about how there was this borrower. I mean, everything looked fantastic, high FICO score, you know, everything was great, right? And the reason the bank didn't lend him the money is because apparently his accountant had suggested that he should negotiate on a different bank deal, and he only saved himself like quote $25,000. And because he negotiated with the bank for a principal reduction, that triggered a red flag. And now this large bank is basically saying that's, to them, it's a character issue. And effectively, if he's going to do that on a $100,000 loan, what's he going to do when we lend him $1 million? So you have to be very, very careful from a strategic standpoint as to not paying your mortgage.
That's a really good point. So I told you I had 3 graphs. So the California Notice of Default filings, when you look at a graph, it's very evident that we're basically back to a normal cycle of default filings. The other 2 were graphs on all-cash home sales, and then the last one was California March home sales going back over the last 10 years. So what does it look like for the month of March? So first, the all-cash home sales. We're basically at the highest rate of cash home sales ever since they've been keeping track. So 2012 was a record year for cash sales. This is not a quarterly graph. This is an annual graph. And I don't know why it doesn't have 13 on here, but all of the articles we've talked about recently would demonstrate that continued 13. But on this graph, 12 is the highest year. More interesting, going to the California March home sales, the unit sales are just really, really low. In fact, when I look at this graph, going all the way back to 2005, so now we're talking 15 plus years, the only month of March, the only year in March that was lower in unit sales than 2014 was March of 2008, right after the crash.
Interesting.
So very, very low sales. We'll talk more about that when we get back.
Okay, so we're going to cut to another quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to hear Deal of the Week. I know you've been working on some exciting deals. I know the audience would be really interested to hear that. Okay, here's our third and final commercial trivia question break. Question on alcoholic drinks is the title. Now, the theme. Now this, I didn't even know the answer to this one because I just didn't know. What was the name of Lady Gaga's 2008 hit single where she mentions that she had a bit too much, later claiming that she lost her keys and phone? All right, I didn't know this one. So again, what was the name of Lady Gaga's 2008 hit single where she mentions that she had a bit too much to drink and later claiming that she lost her keys and phone? I don't know, maybe if I heard the song, I might know the name of it. The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer that question. Again, what was Lady Gaga's 2008 hit single where she mentions she had too much to drink, later claiming she lost her keys and her phone? And don't touch that dial because, why? The Best of Investing will be right back. Mark Hoff's going to give us Deal of the Week. Do you know the answer to that? I mean, I like Lady Gaga and some of her stuff, but I don't know that one. Mr. Kramer? You're a big Lady Gaga fan.
I'm going to take I like her.
Yeah, I like her too.
For some odd reasons.
Would it be?
I'd say Lemon Drop.
Lady Gaga Goo? Are you a Lady Goo Gaga?
Lemon Drop?
No.
That'd be something some women like. They like that. Okay. Straight shot in a beer back.
Monster.
Monster, no. But it has something
Is
to
Monster
do.
a drink?
It has something to do with what your daughter likes to do.
Paparazzi, dance,
Dance.
just dance.
That's it.
That's a drink?
No, that's the name of the song.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know.
I mean, if you want to talk about Benny Goodman or something, just go ahead. Feel free to talk to me.
How about Perez Prado, cherry pink and apple blossom white?
Oh, now you're
I
talking.
like that one. My dad taught me one. Okay, let's see what we got here. We got 50 seconds there, and we got 10, 20, 30, 4. We got, so this is going to be a short one. 6 minutes and 36 seconds.
I'm trying to think of a deal of the week. It's been slow when I've closed lately.
Well, you don't have to close anything. It could be just one you're looking at that looks interesting. I mean, of course, if you close it, it'd be good.
Let's see.
You can give me away.
I can give you away.
Sure, deal of the week. Give Kramer away. I'll clean your house.
I hope you're filming all this.
No, not yet.
You're funny. You're not filming all that.
Not filming.
Okay, now you're filming. So what are we going to give? What's the deal of the week?
You're going to give me away.
I'm going to give Kramer away. That's
Yeah.
right.
I'll clean your house and drive your car.
I can talk about the apartment building I'm working on. And,
There you go. Because again, even if you don't close it, it's just a good story. There we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing again. Last time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn, president of Pacific Private Money. Third and final commercial break trivia question. What was the name of Lady Gaga's 2008 hit single where she mentions that she had too much to drink, later claiming she lost her keys and phone?
would that be Just Dance?
It would be Just Dance. Very
How do
good.
you know that? Because my daughter loves Lady Gaga.
Okay, that'll help. Okay, quickly, we don't have too much time. What is the deal of the week?
So I'm working on a loan right now, which actually hasn't closed yet, but we have to close it soon. And actually, it's a very interesting one. It's an apartment building located in an area of Richmond that just went through a major redevelopment. So it's actually very nice commercially, right by this apartment building. And the gentleman in contract is in contract for what he believes to be an exceptionally good price, and we concur. Now, why wasn't it bank financeable? Well, he went to the bank to get what would typically be an 80% purchase loan, or even 75% purchase loan, and because he could have done as much as 25% down. And he's someone who I have not lent to, but I know him professionally because he's actually in a similar business to mine, where he's in the mortgage industry. And he went to the bank that he normally goes to, and when they looked at the property, they didn't base their internal valuation and thus loan offer on the arm's length purchase price, but on the under market rents, which was the opportunity. That the opportunity for this building is the rents are under market.
Sure.
The company that owns it has owned it since the 1960s, and the manager they have in there just has not, as any property manager would, he just has not kept up with
He's
the
not been aggressive in raising
rapid rent appreciation that we've had in the last 5 years. And so there is an opportunity. In fact, this buyer happens to think that the rents are maybe as much as 50% under market. And there's very high occupancy because of the location. It's near BART and it's near
And the
commercial.
rents are low.
And well, that helps too. And the rents are low. So, the bank made him an offer that was essentially half of the purchase price. They would only go. In fact, the number actually came out to 55%. They would not lend him more than 55% of the purchase price, based on their underwriting analysis of the rents.
What was the cap rate? The purchase that he was making, what was the cap rate?
It was represented at about between 6 and 7.
Okay, which is about normal. What am I missing here?
Well, what you're missing here is that what's noteworthy is the bank simply said, based on their analysis of the rents, which he admitted were under market, they were only willing to make him a loan of about 50.
Yeah, but
55%.
his purchase price is based on those rents, right? I mean,
yes.
at a 6 cap.
Actually, I misspoke. 8 cap. It was an 8 cap opportunity. So anyway, at the end of the day, I don't care why the bank turned him down or didn't make him the loan. It's an opportunity for us to put a loan together and at a 10% rate. In fact, I had 4 different investors who were thrilled to be part of that individual note. This one we did not do through our fund because of the loan size. It's over $1 million, but it's a 10% rate, 9.5% to the investors. It's a 24-month term because his plan is to have the loan for after he's owned the property for a year and he's raised the rents,
Yeah.
he believes, and I concur, he'll be able to go to a bank and
Sure.
easily refinance out, maybe even
Current
pull
loan,
additional cash.
What's the LTV that you're lending on?
70%.
70%, yeah. Okay, so he's still coming up with 30% down.
Yes.
Is he going to do a bunch of rehab?
Interesting enough, we toured the building. He doesn't need a whole lot. It's
Wow.
really, paint on the outside and maybe clean up on the first
So
floor.
the real opportunity is the fact that the rents are really low and he's getting it for a
That's
decent.
the
I mean, he's
real
not buying it at a 2 cap or
No, I
anything.
know, which is like a Marin County apartment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So before we forget, because we're going to have to cut out here pretty soon, I'm sure people want to know how do they get those kind of investments?
If you've been listening to the show for a whole hour and you've heard us talk about how we pay our investors 8% and more on their savings through mortgage-secured investments such as trust deeds and our mortgage pool fund, which is paying out 8.5% right now, give us a call at Pacific Private Money. You can call us over the weekend and leave a message. We'll call you back on Monday. That's 415-883-2150. Again, 415-883-2150. Or go visit our investor website at pacificmoneyfund.com. That's pacificmoneyfund.com.
You know what I think is a real crack up is the fact that you're now starting to pay monthly distributions, and your 1 month distribution would be equal to a full year's worth that I could get at the bank.
That's about right. That's the sad truth.
Sad truth, but
It looks like
it's
it's
true.
going to remain that way likely for many years to come. It really doesn't look like interest rates are going to go up anytime soon.
Okay, so here we're going to cut out now. Thank you very much, Mark Holland, president of Pacific Private Money. Thoughts for the day. Now this came from Conan O'Brien. North Korean dictator Kim Jong is in the news again. He was reelected with 100% of the vote. He said, "I haven't been this happy since I scored 700,000 on the SAT." I thought that was pretty funny. Which is kind of silly. I don't think they should do 100%. If I were him, I'd pay someone to vote against me just so it doesn't look like it's
Maybe
rigged.
85.
Exactly,
Still
okay.
the most popular guy in town.
That's right. Okay. Then I also read a sign. Now, in this case, I read a sign that said, "In case of emergency, if a woman is upset, hold her and tell her how beautiful she is. If she starts to growl, retreat to a safe distance and throw chocolate at her." I'm definitely going to take that advice. All right. Tune in next week to The Best of Investing. Why? Because we're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions and having excellent guests. And Mark Hahn of Pacific Private Money will share more about how you can earn 8% or more by using either your IRA or just regular old investment money.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown. We're wishing you the best of investing. So long.
Oh, you're so good.